my world, that's the T. So let's start by dropping in with our cards. And I do apologize. I am real sleepy today. I had to take some allergy meds last night. And they make me like cotton-mouthed, I've noticed. So I felt compelled to pull from the Wild Offering this morning a card for July, a message for us to anchor in prayer, anchor in offering, anchor in service to ourselves. And let's see. The card is gratitude. Find just one thing that you feel grateful for right now and let that gratitude pour through your body. It's a healing balm like the warmth of the sun. I love this. This gives me like watermelon colors and very summer energy. So I do love that. But what can you be grateful for right now? In the midst of feeling swirly, in the midst of things feeling uncertain, in the midst of disappointments, in the midst of these aha moments we're having in the middle of retrograde, what can you still be grateful for? What is really anchored into your life that feels solid, that you can say, thank you, Spirit, for this, right? For me, I always go back to running water. I once went on a little trip and I did not have running water where I was. I didn't realize I wouldn't have running water until I got there. And no running water bathrooms, no shower, no sink. That is what I mean by no running water. There was a jug of water and there was a pit toilet. And when I got back from that trip, as lovely as the trip was in its own ways, I was just so grateful to be able to stand in a hot shower. And it's little things like that, especially those of us in the privileged position of living in places where we have things like running water and medicine and air conditioning and things like that, that there's just so much to be grateful for. So really, really anchor into that, if nothing else. All right, let's see what the tarot card of the week is. I've had a lot of reversals recently, and it's been funny because I've actually gone through the deck and rewrited everything. Things still keep coming out upside down for us. So we're really, I mean, we've been in a retrograde. We've been going through some collective swirly stuff, but what message is here for us collectively this week? Floor card. 2 floor cards. All right. So we have the 2 of Wands and the 5 of Wands. So the 2 of Wands, you see this figure standing with, don't mind the sunlight, with the 2 wands, these 2 staves on a hillside. This one is done almost like a cave painting or some form of grass cutting, right? It's this sort of symbol out on this field, this wide open space. So where are you attempting to stand strong in an idea, in a concept right now? Where are you being called to create something that maybe does not have form yet? And the 2 of Wands, our message here from the book is this is creative tension. This is exploration. This is a doorway. So this sort of symbol, this entity here is opening a doorway, a portal to our creativity. So the wands can be hard to work with, and we've got 2 of them this week. And unsurprisingly, I have pulled almost nothing but wands in my personal readings lately. But this is the doorway of possibility. What has opened for you or is opening for you that if you use the tension that is here creatively could really expand you forward? That is our 2 of Wands message. And then we have our 5 of Wands. And this is, you can see that these are like maybe teens, they're young, they're playing with their staves, their wands, these sticks here, and they're kind of fighting, but it's a creative conflict. It is a playful struggle. It's a competitiveness, but not a competitiveness that is cutthroat or that is attempting for anyone to be harmed. So Where are you experiencing creative tension right now? Where is there a little bit of a struggle or a conflict in what you're attempting to create in the world? And how do you bring more play to it? How do you have fun with it? Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. This doesn't have to escalate, whatever this creative conflict or struggle is. It can be a battle of the wits. It can be a battle of your own inner world. It can be a battle of personality externally, but the real message here is don't let it escalate into something it doesn't need to be. Like, have fun with it. So again, play. So our two tarot cards, the Two of Wands and the Five of Wands, very much about our creativity this week. What are we bringing into the world? What are we attempting to manifest? And how do we open this doorway, walk through it with confidence, and play with whatever is on the other side? Be in that creative struggle, that little bit of creative competition even with ourselves. I think highly relevant. All right, and now we are going to pull from the Angels and Ancestors deck our 3 Oracle of the week. So as we're moving through this creative tension, as we are experiencing our gratitude, what else do we need to know or lean on this week? All right. First, we have Mirror Guardian. Take time to reflect. This totally makes sense in the middle of a Mercury retrograde. So absolutely, this is a time to really go slow and reflect on what is and is not working for us. This is an opportunity for you to connect with yourself, to go deeper, to listen to the messages that want to come through. So take some moments to pause and reflect on what is here. So the Mirror Guardian is here to support you in that introspective process. Our next is Great Teacher. This is all about learning from spiritual experiences. So I just kind of keep hearing like there's so much opportunity in this retrograde to really go deep, to really reflect, to really think about and sit with things that you might not have in a while, or that maybe you've been putting off. So Great Teacher is also here to remind us to learn from those experiences as they are here. And then finally, we have Protection Guardian. This is all about dropping your shields. It is about not continuing to live in fear of what is going to happen, but to trust that you are being guided, to trust that all that needs to be with you will be with you. What's for you is for you, and what is for you will find you. This is really about easing into, fusing into living in a way that is not this all the time. And that's the message that I'm getting here when I look at all of these cards. So let's go ahead and recap our messages for the week. Be grateful. Gratitude is a balm in trying times. So what can you be grateful for? What doorway is opening for you that you can open into, that you can walk through to create something that you have been wanting to create? And where does that bring about creative struggle? Where does that bring about some tension? And how do you use that to your advantage? To be playful, to maybe have a competition with your past self, something very light, something very not high pressure. Take these moments to reflect. Take this retrograde to really dive in and feel what you feel. Notice what's here and see what wants to pull through for this next chapter. Know that you can and are learning from these spiritual experiences here on earth, but can you integrate that so that you don't have to keep learning the lessons? The Great Teacher is here. It is time to really, really learn. And finally, drop those shields. Trust in the flow of life. Open to what is here for you. That is one of the hardest things I think that we can do as humans. It's so hard to trust, but the Protection Guardian is reminding us that it is all going to be okay. You do not have to keep yourself hyper vigilant all the time. So those are our messages for the week. I hope that there was something in them that spoke to you, let you know that you're not alone, and that we continue the journey as best we can in this human experience. So let's see, as we transition here to tea. I'm drinking Lady Grey this morning. Always a delight. The biggest update I have for you all, honestly, is that I dove back into THM. I'm not telling y'all the name yet because I'm not sure it's going to stick or not. And if I don't keep the name for this book, I might use it for another one. So it's just THM right now. And that is book 2 in Ter'ahn's Chosen series. Fingers crossed I'm actually going to receive my proof copy today, which I ordered on my birthday. So it will mark a month since I ordered it that I'll be getting the proof. So fingers crossed, friends. But it was, it's always the hardest getting back into writing, especially when I have been up in my head trying to do the business thing and manage everything and figure out my future and blah, 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 right? Getting back into writing feels tender and challenging and really like scary, if I'm being honest, right? Like, my dream has been to be an author since I was in 2nd grade. I am an author. I have 4 published books. I have more on the way. Like, the dream is here. I'm living the dream, but then I'm also not allowing myself to live the dream to the fullest that I could. So there's a lot of stretchy material here for me to work with. And this book, unlike the first book, just opens into pretty intensive action straight out of the gate. There's not a lot of build up. There's not a lot of pause or tension building. We are right into action straight out of the gate. And I definitely have noticed that action scenes are what I experience the most difficulty writing. Maybe because that's not how I see the world. And also, being a person who is mind blind. Here, I'll unbury this from my desk. You can have a behind the scenes sneaky peek here. As a person who's more or less mind blind and really struggles to picture things, like I can't get a lay of the land in my brain. I have to either sketch it out so I can visually see it, or it's just awful. So here I was trying to map out this combat sequence and where all the pieces were and who could see who and whatnot. And it definitely has been taking me a while to get going because there's all these little moving pieces in the scene that I'm trying to visualize and yet struggle to visualize. So it's been an interesting time getting started again, but it's also been good. And, it's work. It is absolutely work. I've written I'm wanting to say I got up around 5,000 words written over these past 3 days. But, it's work and it takes time and it's a trial getting started sometimes. So, but that's where I'm going to be focusing a lot of my attention this month. And if I get my way by the end of July, hopefully I will have a completed first draft of the second book. Fingers crossed, my friends. So otherwise, I'm delighted that I get to work with a couple of Pay What You Can clients this month that signed up with me during my birthday special. Very, very excited. In fact, I get to see one of them today, and I'm going to go do an in-person session here right after this live. So I have a couple of work days that I will be focusing on supporting others. And then for the most part, I have taken about 50% of the month and bookmarked it for writing this novel. So I have really been in the process of acknowledging and noticing what leads to me avoiding the writing. And I have just been focused these past few weeks on clearing the obstacles so that I don't have those distractions anymore and I can actually do the thing. So we're back to doing the thing. It's a little slow going, but we're getting started. And I am very pleased with how things have started off, even though it is a rough draft, and I have to really, really give myself a lot of grace, because this is where my perfectionistic part comes out the most, wanting to get that first draft perfect, wanting to have all the right words and all the right sequences and all the right descriptions. And that's just not how writing a book goes. You know, to be perfectly honest about my process, it's usually I write a draft, my partner reads the draft and gives feedback. We go all the way through the book that way. And then we restart, and I go through all of the feedback and I fine tune a second draft. He goes through it again, and then I go through it a third time before I pass it to my beta readers. So it's not a one and done process. It is something that takes a while to complete. And I think it's very, very worth it to be holding a book in my hands at the end of the day. I'm already thinking about the cover and what I might ask J.G. Reinhardt to do. And gosh, I hope he will do the second cover. I'm probably going to need to do some fundraising for that in the near future. So if you know that you're going to want to support that, stay tuned. And otherwise, yeah, things continue to unfold very slowly, very gently in the direction of bringing my Druidry more to the forefront, of continuing to figure out how to serve people in the way that really lights me up and really supports others. And I'm going to have a little lull in my podcast here for a bit and just take a break from that so I can focus on other words. So that's what's going on in my world. I do want to just throw out there that if you are not already on my moon list, my moon mailing list, which is safrianna.com/moon, or you are not already a member in my heartbeat community, this upcoming week is when I'm transitioning my new moon ceremonies down to 4 or 5 a year. And we will only be doing the new moon after our seasonal transition. So it will be private in a Zoom room. I will record, but the recording will only be available for those who are on the heartbeat. So if you're on the email list, you can come live. Great. That's wonderful. I'm happy to have you there. But I am not taking that extra step of sending out a recording. It will just get uploaded into the heartbeat community, and anybody who is a member of that community can see that. That community is completely free. So feel free to come join me over there. And otherwise, if you are engaging with my content, if you're watching it, please don't hesitate to hit that like button, share it, restack it, wherever, these are on YouTube and Substack. So whatever you can do to let the algorithm know that this content is something that is of value to you, that would be of great value to me. Over here on Substack, I have now officially been here for over a year. I have written and or gone live over 180 times. I think this will have made like 186 potentially. Yeah, I have not reached more than 100 people. And to me, the math just isn't mathing there. Even if one new person saw each piece of content, I would be at 182 to 187 or something like that. So the fact that I am not even at 100 subscribers or followers here, I don't know what Substack's doing. I don't know what Substack's doing, and I don't know, maybe this content isn't of high value for you all. That is where I would love your feedback. Those of you that have been hanging out with me for a while, those of you that have been tuning in, what do you like? What don't you like? What feels useful? What doesn't feel useful? What would you be more likely to be like, oh my gosh, so-and-so needs to see Safrianna talking about this? That is what I would like to know. I'd like to respond to the real needs of my community and those that I have not actually reached yet. So if you got any ideas for me, let me know, my friends. And otherwise, I'll be back here next Monday to pull some more cards for the collective, give you another little update about me, and hopefully I'll have written more book by then too. So until next time, my friends, I'm Safrianna Luna. Bye for now.